right, it's good to be with y'all on this today Tuesday. I have a hard time keeping up with the days anymore, but I really appreciate you guys so much for being here. I've been sitting here as always, reading through the comments in the waiting room. We had 70 some people waiting when we started. It's always good to see. So I really appreciate you guys for being here with me and spending your Tuesday. It's noon Eastern where I'm at, but wherever you're joining in, I appreciate you for taking time out of your day to do so. We got plenty to talk about, but I wanted to let you guys know that a lot of people ask is if I'm over on the Blue Sky app, and the answer is yes. I've been posting more over there actually. So you can follow me over there. All the links are in the description of this video, so you can check those out. Also, before we get rolling, I want to let everyone know that this coming Friday, December the 20th, I will be doing a free show over on Patreon where I'll sit here at the desk and I will play music. And we're calling it holiday hours. Instead of happy hour, it's hours with me, because I've been known to play for several hours and get it all out of my system, because I don't play out as much as I used to. Hardly, well, I don't play out any anymore. So I really have a good time here with the audience we've built up over on Patreon doing it here at the table. But you don't have to be a patron to view that show. So check out again the link in the description of this video. And this Friday at 8 p.m. Eastern, I will be going live and playing some music. I usually play songs that I've wrote myself, and I take requests for cover tunes. And we've played everything from 90s country to the Grateful Dead to me attempting Nirvana and Marilyn Manson. So you never know what you may hear on one of those shows. They're always a whole lot of fun. And be sure to tune in this Friday at 8, and we'll have a good time with it. But there's so much to talk about with everything that's going on right now. In my mind, we should have been sitting back watching Kamala Harris pick her cabinet, but things didn't go our way. And notice none of us are throwing a temper tantrum. None of us are rioting. None of us are sitting here and, orchestrating an event on January 6th or anything like that. Kamala's not out there saying that it was stolen. She's not out there saying that, she's not going to certify the results and all these things. But we should be watching her pick her cabinet. On the other hand, we're watching Donald Trump pick what we've called here on the channel his cabinet of chaos. And there's a whole lot of his picks that do disturb me, and we can talk more about that later. But I did want to talk about, ABC kissing the ring, mainstream media going ahead and obeying in advance. That's one of the things that they're already starting to do, and we're starting to see more of it. Back when George Stephanopoulos interviewed Nancy Mace, he said that Donald Trump had been found liable of rape, and he was asking her how could she support a man, because Nancy Mace herself is a rape victim, and he was asking her how could she support a man who had done the same thing. And because he phrased it that way, because he said liable of rape and not sexual assault, Donald Trump sued for defamation. And that's becoming a trend, and I think it's going to become a trend going forward with Donald Trump, and we'll talk about that too. But he sued ABC and George Stephanopoulos for defamation. Now, the funny part about this whole thing to me is that he's suing for defamation of character when he has absolutely no character whatsoever. And he himself was found guilty of defaming E. Jean Carroll. So, again, it was just one of those moments where he reminds me of the character in Better Call Saul when he's Jimmy McGill and he goes around, he's slipping Jimmy. That's exactly what Trump reminds me of. So the thing about that whole case is had George Stephanopoulos just fought that and had ABC fought that, they could have won their case, because the judge in New York did clarify that in the way we speak in terms of sexual assault and things of that nature, then it would be considered rape. So, had Stephanopoulos stayed in that thing, he definitely could have probably won his case, but instead he bowed the knee, and they bowed the knee, and they settled for $15 million. Now, that $15 million, from what I understand, is going to go toward Trump's presidential library, which I can't imagine what that thing will look like, to be honest with you guys, because I live here in East Tennessee, and over in Gatlinburg, we have, they have Donald Trump stores where people can just go in, and there's Donald Trump's face on everything. They've got his head on Rambo's body, on flags and shirts. They got his head on a bald eagle. It's some of the most ridiculous, cringeworthy things that I've ever seen. And anytime I go by it, I laugh about it. But I laugh about it in disgust. And I also look to see if there's anybody in there I know so that I know to never carry on a conversation again with somebody who would be that weak and fragile that they would have to get his head on Rambo's body and put it on a shirt. It's ridiculous. But where was I going with that? They worship the dude. They absolutely worship him, and people love him for that. So he is, I believe, we're going to see more and more of him, suing for defamation. So in Stephanopoulos' case, all he had to do was hang in there, and he could have won his case, but he bowed the knee for $15 million. And I was saying that's going to go toward the library. $15 million is nothing to ABC. That's nothing to them. It sounds like a lot of money to people like us, but to that network, that's nothing. But what it is, more so than anything, it's a slap in the face of journalists. It's a slap in the face of the free press. It's a slap in the face of the First Amendment. And what it says is that the mainstream media is going to be obeying in advance. Now, I did a video where I talked more about this, and I talked about how that, there's a lot of people out there that tries to create the narrative. They try to say that Joe Rogan's one of them, who says there was a psyop that was created to make Donald Trump look bad. And he says that the mainstream media tried to make Trump look bad and gaslight, everyone into thinking Donald Trump was a bad guy. Well, I refuse to be gaslit. That's why I called this video. That's why I gave it the title. I refuse to be gaslit by the Joe Rogans of the world. We saw Donald Trump for exactly who he was. We heard what he had to say. We saw the things that he did. And we called him out for it. Because we do believe in the First Amendment. We do believe in freedom of speech, and we do believe that people should be allowed to speak out against their government. And what this settlement to me has done, it's just basically ABC has, betrayed the free press, and they've betrayed journalists out there who are trying to call Donald Trump on his wrongdoings. It's just them bowing the knee, obeying in advance, and I really feel like that they were in on it the whole time. I feel like that if there was any sort of psyop that Joe Rogan wants to create, I really believe it was that the mainstream media played the villain to Donald Trump's character, and they laughed their way all the way to the bank. I really feel like that they were basically like the Mr. McMahon to his Stone Cold Steve Austin. They just played it together, and I really believe that's why they wanted him to be reelected. I believe that's why they same-washed the things that he did. I believe that's why they normalized the things that he did, and I believe that's why they went so hard and crucified Joe Biden and got him out of the race. I really believe they did all those things at the end of the day so that they could get Trump back in and have something to talk about and have the ratings. Because like Trump said, if you can get the ratings, you can get it all. And I really believe the mainstream media feels the same way. And I intend to boycott mainstream media. I'd already tuned it out a long time ago. The only time that, I would bring it up would be when we were playing clips from people, being on mainstream media shows and talking. But what I would like to say out there to the Democratic establishment, if anybody ever could get a video to anybody with any pull whatsoever, and I could have one thing, if I could sit down in front of them at the DNC and say, this is what you guys need to do going forward, this is an idea I have, I really feel that they should embrace independent journalists. I believe they should embrace independent media. Stop going on mainstream shows. Stop sitting down with people who normalized and same-washed Donald Trump, because when you do, you're giving them credibility. That's the entire reason why I won't debate trolls. People will say, I want to debate you, and I'm like, well, the problem with this is you're not debating. You're trolling. You're sitting there hurling a bunch of insults, and I'm not going to get in the mud with you because we're both just going to end up, with a bunch of shit on us, and nothing's ever going to get accomplished. So what I would say to the powers that be in the Democratic Party is stop entertaining mainstream media. Stop going on these shows that demonize Joe Biden and normalize Donald Trump. Stop entertaining them and stop giving them any credibility whatsoever, and start giving credibility to the independent media out there who has built themselves from the ground up. A lot of them with no investors or anything. The Midas Touch Network has 0 investors in their channel, and look at the platform they've built and the network that they've built. Reach out to people like that, sit down and talk with them, and because they're the people that deserves credibility, not the mainstream media. The mainstream media, in my mind, has lost all credibility, and I don't go in for anything they say. And I think that if we, I feel like that if we play along with it, then we're giving them the ratings that they don't deserve. I don't have the exact numbers in front of me, but I did see a video David Pacman did where he was talking about the numbers and how far that ABC and MSNBC and CNN had sunk in the ratings. And, when it comes to corporate media, I don't wish ill on anyone out there as far as, hardworking people that needs a job. And I realize these networks do employ a lot of people that does need the work. But at the same time, I feel no sympathy for a network who sane washed Trump and normalized what he did and downplayed all the wrongdoings that man did, downplayed it and acted like it wasn't nothing. And now they want to bring it around to, well, it's, let's just all get along now. Let's just give him a chance, man. Hey, just stop arguing with him. Just give him a chance. I'm never going to give the guy a chance because I'm never going to forgive January 6th. That was the absolute deal breaker for me. There was a lot more deal breakers over the years than that, but that was definitely the one that said, there's no way in hell I'll ever support this man for anything. He should have never been allowed to run for president again. It's ridiculous that he was allowed to. It's ridiculous that he has become reelected, and it's ridiculous that he's going to be going after the people who investigated him. He's said that he would target independent journalists and he would target social media influencers. He's suing a newspaper out of Iowa, a pollster, who put out a poll and said that he was losing, and now he's going to sue them for that. And people are sitting back and they're cheering this on. They are cheering on authoritarianism. They're cheering on a dictator. And the reason so is because the last 4 years, all we've seen from the right is them use the phrase, the weaponization of government. They love that phrase. And they'll sit and say, oh, they've weaponized the government against us. No, what happened was you guys went out and tried to overturn an election that Donald Trump duped you into thinking that he actually won, and he didn't. He went to court over 60 times, and they laughed him out of the courtrooms because he had no evidence. And by the way, still doesn't have the evidence. I mean, now that he's president-elect, couldn't he hold the big press conference he's been talking about this entire time and bring all the evidence? He won't because he doesn't have it. He duped all those people into going to the Capitol and raising hell and starting a riot and threatening to hang the vice president and slinging shit on the wall and putting their feet on Nancy Pelosi's desk and all the things that they did. And they got arrested for it. And meanwhile, Donald Trump called them patriots and hostages and said it was a beautiful and peaceful day and that we were weaponizing the government against them. So I refuse to be gaslit. I'm not going to sit here and let people tell me that it was a beautiful, peaceful day, that everyone was just having a good time and singing Kumbaya. Joe Rogan can show us videos of something happening on the opposite side of the building all day long, and it's never going to change my mind because what you need to really listen to is the testimony of those police officers. Listen to what they had to say about it, and I promise you, they weren't singing Kumbaya. It wasn't a peaceful day of love at all. You cannot say you back the blue and support Donald Trump. You cannot say you back the blue and support MAGA because you don't. On that day, you didn't. When they didn't get their way, instead of pulling their pants up and going on about their day, they couldn't do it. They had to raise hell and throw a fit, and said they were going to, by the way. That's another reason why I won't let them gaslight us, because they said they were going to do it every step of the way. From the minute the election happened in 2020, Donald Trump cried foul, said it was stolen. They bought into it and believed it. He pushed that bullshit and misinformation to his crowd and to his audience to the point that they orchestrated an event. And they said, I remember at the time I was working in a small factory at the time. I never will forget this guy telling me, and he's probably one of the trolls that trolls me to this day in the comment section. So if you're listening, hey, I see through you, saw through you then. He said to me, he said, you know what? He said, if they don't turn this thing around and give it back to Donald Trump, and if they don't do right by this and give it back to him, he said, we're going to go up there and we're going to raise hell, and you're going to see a level of redneck in this country you ain't never seen before in your life. And of course he didn't go. He stayed home. Then it happened, and then I went back to work after it was over and was like, well, what in the hell was that? That wasn't us, man. That wasn't us. That was Black Lives Matter and Antifa just trying to make us look bad. We're peaceful people, man. Republicans don't act that way. Oh, you've been standing here for weeks talking about how you was going to raise all kinds of hell and all kinds of redneck in this world. So, they had their own, they put their own Facebook post, their own social media post out there saying exactly what they were going to do. Then they went and did it. And then once they realized just how awful it was and how bad it got out of hand, then they tried to backtrack. And to this day, they still go back and forth on that subject. They can never make up their mind where they want to be because they want to say, we got a right to stand up to a tyrannical government. They want to say that, but they also want to say, we didn't do it because they want to dodge accountability. And so now, Donald Trump is saying that he's going to sue a pollster. How's that even legal? How is a president-elect even allowed to do that? That's absolutely going after the free press. That's government overreach if there ever was one. But for the last 4 years, people have sat back and used that phrase, weaponization of government, weaponization of government. And now people are saying to me, how's it feel, Brando? They could be coming after you, man. They could shut you down for defaming Trump. And I'm like, what? I thought you guys was against weaponization of government. I thought that that's what you were trying to put a stop to. But now Donald Trump says he's obligated to. He feels like he has to because we're dishonest people, according to him. Meanwhile, they spent the last 4 years defaming Joe Biden and Hunter Biden and making up bullshit that wasn't true and came out that it wasn't true. And so when you do what Donald Trump did, which is go out there and just continue to double down and quadruple down on his stances and convince everybody that we were weaponizing the government against them for the laws they broke, now they're not going to feel any sympathy for us, and they're going to feel empowered to shut down honest journalists just trying to report what's going on in this country. That's where we're at with it, and it's absolutely ridiculous. I started to say Donald Trump's strategy, but I don't really like giving him that much credit that he's got a strategy, but his tactics worked for his crowd. And now they will sit back and they will cheer on a man who is an authoritarian. They will cheer on a man who is already acting like a dictator before he gets through the front door. And they're doing it because they're so angry with us. That's what it boils down to. It's their hatred and their anger for us. And for us calling them out on their bullshit that they can't stand. They want us to be silent. They want us to stay quiet about it and let them rule the roost. And people like us aren't going to. For people, it's like, are you worried? Are you scared? No, I'm not scared because I got good people in my corner. I'm part of a good network. We will stand up. We won't bow the knee. We won't kiss the ring. We won't obey in advance. We won't do any of those things. We will continue to stand up for what we believe in. And if they want to take us to court, go ahead. And when we win, I'll pay my house off. You know, I don't give a shit because I'm not going to stop. I'm not going to back down ever. And I've got a video that's going to be coming out after this live ends. So you guys take a look on that. I'll be putting that out soon. I'll release it first as members only, and then it will hit the main airwaves in a few hours. But before we go any further, I want to stop and I want to acknowledge all the people who just became new members. We've got a lot of people who have, and one of the perks of becoming a new member is you get my videos early. So when this video ends, I will be posting a video where I talk more at length about the death threats that I've received and the things that people have been saying and sending, the messages people have been sending me. I don't want to spoil the video here, but that's the subject matter. And so after this video, after this live ends, which will end around 1 p.m. Eastern, I will go ahead and release that video members only first. And those of you who have became new members today or got gifted a membership, whatever the case may be, you'll get to see it first. It'll be out for a couple hours before it hits the main channel. So I want to say thanks to Independent for becoming a new member, Old Hand 1, George Armstrong, Willie Williams, Susan Britt, Penelope, I can't pronounce the last name, but thank you, Penelope, Richard Gratton, I guess that is, and Mike B. Also want to say thanks to Christine for this super sticker. I really appreciate that, and thank you for that one as well, Christine. Also, thanks to Travel on Trish. Thank you so much for that. Thank you to Denise. Also, thanks to Sally S. for gifting 5 Tennessee Brando memberships. And also, thank you to Psycho. I can't pronounce that. I'm not fully awake yet. But thank you for that donation. And and she says, or they say, thank you for what you do. I live in a predominantly Trump-supported area. I'm right there with you. It's depressing sometimes, and channels like yours help me keep my head up, especially as a first-gen legal immigrant. Yeah, I appreciate you guys so much for tuning in, and really, to me, that's what it's all about. This has always been viewed as a Blue Dot channel. It's always been viewed as a place that people could come and talk and discuss ideas because, you know, in the parts of the world that we're in, so many of us are the Blue Dots. And that's what's so funny to me and hilarious is when MAGA tries to make it out like they're the victims, they're being persecuted. I'm like, you guys can go anywhere in town and talk as loud as you want to about politics and nobody gets mad at you. Whereas people like us have to look over our shoulder, and people like me has to read threats every day, and people like me has to carry a gun just to feel safe, which I don't even like doing. I'm not a fan of doing, but I have to in order to live in this part of the world. And so it's pretty crappy, but that's what I feel like this community that we've built has become. It's become a place where people who are the Blue Dots in their part of the world which we welcome you. If you're in the biggest, if you are in the deepest bluest part of your town or the deepest bluest state, whatever the case may be, you're welcome here too. And you might need to invite us to dinner sometime, so we won't feel so alone. But no, I appreciate y'all, and this is a community for people to come together and express those ideas without the trolls just beating you over the head. So also thanks to Rachel for that super sticker. Thanks to Magnificent Lies for that. J6 was a Big Mac attack. Also thanks to Jeannie Anderson. Post office in Rochester cannot deliver the mail. The workers quit. I hadn't heard about that one. Also want to say thanks to Janice Martinez for becoming a new member. Stoneflower Design for gifting 5 Tennessee Brando memberships that they do just dang near every show. I really appreciate you for doing that. Also to Jeanette, always comes through. And also to Sam Stone for becoming a new YouTube member. Now again, if you just became a YouTube member, one of the perks is getting videos before the rest of the public does. So after this video, this live stream ends, I'm going to post a video talking about some of the threats that I've received and how that a lot of us at the Midas Touch Network has received them. A lot of people that does what we do has. And the video is also about how that MAGA is just sore winners. So be sure to check out that video when this live stream ends at 1. I'll go ahead and post it in members only first, and all you that became members today will get it first. So again, thank you guys so much. I'm still getting woke up. I've been kind of turned around lately on my sleep pattern. I don't sleep the best, really. And I've tried different things and nothing really helps. And I'm trying not to fall back into any bad habits. So it's been a challenge, and I know it has for a lot of people since the election. I know it's not been easy. But I appreciate you guys for hanging with me. Right after the election, we did have a lot of people walk away, and for the first time, I saw my subscriber count going down, and that was pretty depressing for a minute. And then it turned around and started coming back up, and now we're closing in on 500,000 subscribers. I still can't wrap my head around that, but we are at, I just refreshed my phone, we're at 479,650. So I won't be shocked if we hit 480 before the day's over. That's growing really fast. If you haven't already, be sure and hit the subscribe button. Hit the like button. It helps boost it in the algorithm. Leave a comment if you feel like getting in on the conversation. If not, leave a blue heart again. It just boosts the algorithm and helps it go a long way. If you appreciate the kind of content that I do, then hit subscribe, and that way you'll always be notified when I do more. I do want to remind everybody again, before we keep rolling with the show here, that I will be going live on Patreon. The link's in the description of this video. I will be going live over on Patreon this Friday night at 8 p.m. Eastern. It's a free show. You don't have to be a patron to join in. I'll be sitting here at my desk playing guitar and singing tunes. And we always have a lot of fun with that. I play songs that I wrote myself, and I take requests for cover tunes, and we just play all over the map. It's loose. It's fun. It's not... hell, it's just me sitting here at my desk, and there's been a time or two that I've tried to play a song and sung the first verse, maybe got through the first chorus and forgot the rest of it. Well, okay. But we just have fun with it. I view it in my mind, and these are my favorite shows now that I've ever played. I view it in my mind that we're just sitting around with friends, and I've just got the guitar, and we're just having a night to ourselves. And those are the kind of nights where you're not expected. You're not under a microscope. You don't have a bunch of people standing there picking you apart. It's more about just having fun with it, and we do. We have a whole lot of fun over there. I've also been posting more non-political content for those of you that does get tired and needs to take a break from the politics. The one thing that I've tried to shift my Patreon toward is I've tried to shift it toward more non-political content. So over there, I've lit up the grill and made some barbecue chicken. I've reviewed cigars. Let's see, I've recorded, I've been recording a new album, and so I've been making videos of me in the studio laying down songs. Yesterday I posted a video of me playing some lead guitar on a tune that I wrote. And what's funny is, when I'm recording lead guitar in the studio, I got the headphones on, and normally the only thing my camera's picking up is just me, the sound of my guitar. It just so happens that on one of the songs I wrote, I ended up keeping the take that I caught on camera. And I was able to go in there and do some pretty good video editing and lay the audio underneath it so you could hear what the song sounds like. And I was actually able to get my hands to line up pretty easily. I couldn't believe I pulled that off. I'm not very tech savvy, but I actually got it to pull off, and it sounded pretty cool, and a lot of people enjoyed it. I really enjoyed playing that solo. It was one that that I got into and felt it a lot, and it felt good to do it. But I don't know exactly when the new album will be out. We're in the process now of mixing it, and then we'll master it and get it out there to everybody. It'll probably hit Bandcamp first. Oh, by the way, the Bandcamp app is also linked up in the bio. Thank you guys so much for downloading my song Cheaper Eggs. I really appreciate that. It's always, that's become my best-selling song now, and I really appreciate y'all for supporting that. When I get the new album done, that's the first place it will hit. It will be Bandcamp. And so people have asked me, is it a political album? And no, not entirely. It's not. It's a lot of songs that I've written over the years that kind of fell through the cracks and never ended up on an album. But there ended up being some political moments. I mean, how can there not be? When you're Tennessee Brando, it's going to come out one way or the other. You're not going to be able to get around it. And so, yeah, and I may just go ahead and throw the song Cheaper Eggs on there with the album because it fits, it makes sense. And yeah, I figure at this point in the game, if someone's listening to one of my albums and suddenly hears me make a political statement and gets pissed off, then they weren't listening to start with. So we won't worry about it. But anyway, I really appreciate you guys so much for sticking around and moving on with the show. There's something else I wanted to talk about, which I did make a video on. A lot of you guys may have already seen it. But one of the dumbest things that I've seen recently is MAGA being upset over Democrats boycotting the inauguration. And I'm not going to, obviously I'm not going, but I'm not going to watch it. I'm not going to cover it. I'm not going to play clips from it. I'm not going to acknowledge it that day. I'm going to let that day come and go. Because I don't have any respect for Donald Trump at all. I don't respect a person that wants to go after the free press. I don't respect a person that wants to go after independent journalists and social media influencers. I don't have no respect for someone who says they want to be a dictator on day one. And I have no respect for someone who took part in January 6th. So I won't be talking about it, acknowledging it. The day will just come and go. I may make some videos, set them to come out the day before, and I may just take a drive out of town because, I want no part of that mess. I really don't. I don't want any part of it. But they're mad because Democrats are boycotting it. And I'm like, wait a minute. You guys are the same people who still to this day won't concede the 2020 election. Donald Trump didn't show up to Biden's inauguration because he was too big of a whiner, a pouter, and a crybaby. And they're mad because Jimmy Carter won't be there. They're mad because they announced Jimmy Carter won't be coming. And they're like, I can't believe that President Carter would disrespect Trump like this. Really? Jimmy Carter is 100 years old and in hospice. He wouldn't have been at Kamala's either. What makes you think that a 100-year-old man in hospice would take time out of his day to come sit there with Donald Trump? It's absolutely ridiculous. And the video that I made, I said in that video, they have no self-awareness whatsoever. None. And going back to a comment I saw go by in the comment section earlier, it's because it's all about owning the libs. It's all about this flex that they love doing. And if they can find a way to own the libs or be mad about something or be the victim in the story, they will. Their entire foundation, their entire platform is built upon victimhood. It's built upon we're the victims in the story, we're the ones being persecuted, when in all honesty, they're not at all. The worst things that's ever happened to them is they got arrested when they tried to overturn an election and they beat police officers over the head. They got arrested for that. And they've been fact-checked on Facebook. They've been fact-checked on social media. They've been called out when they spread lies and misinformation. And they call that the weaponization of government. But if they can find a way to own the libs in their little minds, they'll try. And that's pretty much what this whole thing's about. And the idea that now we're supposed to just let bygones be bygones and forget everything that happened is ridiculous. And another comment that I seen on the video that I posted was someone said, well, you know, the American people have spoken, Brando. That's what maybe he is a convicted felon and maybe he is all the things that you say he is, but the American people have spoken. They voted for it. And to that person, I would say this, how far then can we go? So, you know, I mean, Charles Manson's not with us anymore, but let's just use him for an example. So if Charles Manson had ran for president and the American people got behind it, I mean, where's the line that we don't allow people to cross? If overturning an election isn't that line, then what is it? What would be the line that would cross to where we get, listen, it doesn't matter how many people are for this can't happen. Because there should be rules and there should be a system in place that doesn't allow that to happen. Just because 1 million people believes a lie doesn't mean it's true. Just because if only one person believes the truth, it's still the truth. So I really, when people says, well, the people have voted now, so let's all just work together. I don't really care. It's not. I'm not going to respect the guy. I'm not going to suddenly forget what he done, and I'm not suddenly going to do. I mean, do I want to see things get accomplished? Do I want to see this country move forward? Yeah, absolutely. Of course I do. But I don't see how you can work with someone who is threatening to take away your livelihood. How can you work with someone who's threatening to shut you down? And if you don't bow the knee and bow down to them and worship them, then I don't see how we're supposed to work with people like that. He goes in, he creates an imaginary department, which I say that, but it's a real thing now. The whole Doge, Department of Government Efficiency, and he puts Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy, and he lets Marjorie Taylor Greene tag along. I loved AOC's burn on that. It's like, yeah, they're letting her like hold the controller that ain't plugged in. Remember back when we were kids and you handed the Nintendo controller over to your little brother and it wasn't plugged in? It's that kind of thing. But he just gave those people a spot in something, and we'll just let them start going in and axing stuff. And then we have Democrats going, well, we got to work with them. They won. We have to work with them. And I understand that, yeah, you're going to have to work with them. You're going to have to work alongside them now, whether you like it or not. I do understand that argument. I get it. But again, when you do that, in my mind, you're normalizing and you're sanewashing them. I don't think that, they should ever ease up off of what Donald Trump is. I don't think they should ever bow in advance. I like President Biden. I think President Biden was a very effective president. I'm very sorry that his entire president got overshadowed by such a clown. But that's what happened. But when they had the moment where they met in the White House and Biden assured him the peaceful transfer of power, I respect Biden for taking the high road and doing that. I do. I'm glad that he took the high road and did that. But I don't think he should have sat there and smiled about it. And I think he should have called it out. And I think he should have pointed out that Donald Trump would not be doing this had the role been reversed. And he should have said, hey, this guy wouldn't do it for me. And he wouldn't have done it if Kamala had won. I don't think that he should have sat there and smiled. That's just me. And I love President Biden. I got nothing against the guy. But all of a sudden, my dad looks over at me and says, well, he don't seem to give a shit anymore. And that's how it comes off. To a lot of people. That's how that kind of thing comes off. That's why that I feel like it's very important that we do. I understand we got to work alongside people, and I understand we got to tolerate people, and I understand we got to coexist with people in this world. But that doesn't mean we give them a pass for anything, and that doesn't mean we agree with it, and that doesn't mean we bow in advance, obey in advance, and go along with everything they say. I think we need to stand strong in our opposition because I will always believe we were on the right side of history. As far as the election goes, it wasn't just Kamala Harris that lost. America lost. And a lot of Americans still don't realize it. And some of them are starting to wake up to it already. And I had a listener, we covered it here on one of the lives. I had a listener reach out to me and say that he already regretted his vote because all of a sudden now Trump's saying he can't bring down the grocery prices. And this guy's like, well, I got played. Yeah, that's what we was trying to tell you leading into the whole thing. It gets pretty exhausting trying to tell somebody that they're getting played constantly. And I have people say to me all the time, Brando, you're beating a dead horse. They're never going to listen to you. But we've got 1,400 people sitting here listening right now, and we're closing in on 500,000 subscribers. So there are people listening to what we have to say. And I say we because we're all in this together. There are people listening to our message and what we have to say. Do I think I will reach every MAGA diehard? Do I think I will break through to every QAnon conspiracy theorist? No, I don't. I don't think I'll turn them around. As a matter of fact, I'll probably make a lot of them dig in their heels and fight harder. But I also believe that there will always be people that will eventually get tired of it. There'll be people that get fed up with it. But there will also be people, in my opinion, there will be people who will sit back on the fence. Right now, there's going to be a Sunday dinner this coming weekend. They'll all meet at Mama's house, and they'll all sit around for Sunday dinner. And you'll have the crazy QAnon cousin sitting there just spewing all this shit off. But over in the corner is one family member who ain't buying it. There's one family member that don't buy into it. There's one family member that says, you know what, I think Cousin Randy over here is full of shit. And so they are going to be the ones that will tune into a channel like this. They're going to be the ones that will say, and they've reached out to me and said so. And I'm not going to throw anybody under the bus. I promise I won't, because I promised them that I wouldn't, and I'm a man of my word. But I have had some family members reach out to me to tell me they agree with me way more than they disagree, and they just don't say anything because they don't want the rest of the family to come down on their head. But I've had several say to me, no, I agree with you. I agree with what you're saying. Keep doing what you're doing. I just I don't need the stress in my life of my brothers and sisters crucifying me every time I'm around them. So I understand it. I get it. And I understand that not everyone is in a position to speak out. I get it. I had a musician reach out to me and, thank me for what I've done and told me that they're interested in starting to speak out too. And they're starting to write songs about what's going on, but they know when they do, they're going to lose their audience because they're in a blood red part of the world. And I said, yeah, I can write the book on that. I can tell you exactly how that'll happen, how that'll go down. You will go from having people patting you on the back, calling you their brother and telling you you're the greatest musician that ever lived, to ignoring your calls, spreading all kinds of lies and bullshit about you, and blocking you from playing anywhere they can. That's what'll happen to you. But which is more important to you? Is it more important to you to sit on a bar stool and have someone tip you for singing "Take It Easy" by the Eagles, or is it more important to you to call Donald Trump a fascist? That's the decision I had to make and come to, and I did it, and I don't regret it a bit, and I'm glad I'm sitting here in this chair. I understand, though, that everybody's not in a position to speak out. I understand that people have jobs, people have things they're going through, and like I've had family members say, I don't need the stress in my life of always arguing with the rest of the family, but I want you to know I agree. I understand that not everybody can get out there and speak on a microphone like I'm doing here and on a platform like I'm doing. But what you can do is you can subscribe to channels that do. You can continue to share those videos with people out there. And when you find something that's interesting or find something you think might help change someone's mind or might help educate somebody to some degree, then send it to them. That's what I do with my friends. Even though I have my own platform, every day I'm sending friends of mine another Midas Touch video, something that Popac did. I'm usually sending a lot of Popac videos because I watch him because I don't understand the legal side of things. I may need him eventually in my corner to be my lawyer. But I watch him because he's very informative on how the legal side of things work. And I'll share videos with friends of mine and I'll say, hey, I don't completely understand this, but Popac and Ben Marcellus does a really good job of explaining this. So check this out. And I'm always sharing, Luke Beasley and Adam Mockler and Texas Paul and Coach D and David Pacman. There's so many that I listen to and share every day. I had one on the tip of my tongue I was going to say. And that's Bell now of the Fifth Column. Bo's gone, and I really do miss Bo of the Fifth Column. He's someone who early on people would ask me if I'd ever met him or talked with him, and the answer is no. I've never carried on a conversation with him in any way, not in an email or nothing. But I miss that dude. I understand why he had to walk away. I get it, but and I think his wife's doing a great job, and I share her videos all the time and watch her every day. I love their presentation and I love their approach to it. But I can't lie. I wish Bo would come out of retirement because, not saying that, again, I love Belle and what she's doing. I think she's doing a great job. I like to see them both do it alongside one another, or just see Bo. If he just made a once a week or once a month appearance and did a live, that would be great. I really miss that dude. But, yeah, Belle is wonderful. She does a great job. And again, I just love that presentation. And Bo was an influence for sure. I can't lie to y'all. Bo was an influence. So was Trey Crowder, the liberal redneck. They were influences on me eventually doing what it was that I did, and I didn't necessarily realize it at the moment that they were. But I remember one video that Bo of the Fifth Column did that I absolutely loved, and it's still my favorite video. I can't remember the title of it. I'd have to go on YouTube and search it, and I might be able to find it back. But he was talking about the song "Ode to Billy Joe" by Bobby Gentry, which is one of my favorite tunes. I've always loved that tune. Me and my band used to cover it and kind of rock it up a little bit and make it danceable, and I always loved that song, the day Billy Joe McAllister jumped off the Tallahatchie Bridge. I loved that one. But anyway, Bo did a video on that where he was talking about what's that song really about? Because, for years they talked about how that, there's a line in the song that says, we saw you throwing something off the bridge. That's always been a question, is what did they throw off the bridge? And then the other question is, why did Billy Joe jump? And so Bo talked about that, and he's like, he said, everybody's always asked, what did they throw off the bridge, and what why did he jump? He said, but that's not really the moral of the story. He said, the moral of the story is it's the conversation that everyone's having around the dinner table after Billy Joe passes. And the only one that actually cares about Billy Joe is the narrator herself. She's the one that loved Billy Joe and cares about him. The dad's like, yeah, Billy Joe never made much sense to me. Pass the biscuits. I got to go plow the field. Yeah, I got to get going with my day. And he talked about how that once we're all gone, that's what'll happen. People will sit around. They'll have a conversation about you. The people that matter, the people that loved you is going to care. The people that didn't is going to go on with their day. And I thought that was such a powerful video that he did. And I need to go back and find that one and save it because it was a really good one. But I remember when Trey Crowder blew up on social media at the time. I was living in Knoxville when he did, and I had been trying my hand at stand-up comedy. You know, I'd been a musician for so many years, and I tried my hand at stand-up comedy. And I'm so glad that we lost the tapes of that. I had them on a laptop computer that got a virus, and the computer crashed, and they're gone, and for good. And that's a good thing because I wasn't a stand-up comedian at all. That is a completely different beast, by the way. Being a musician and cracking jokes in between songs, and being a comedian and on stage, it's completely daylight and dark difference. And if you play a song that doesn't necessarily go over, the drummer can count off the next song and go into it, or you can start playing the next song on your guitar and just try to cover for it. But if you tell a joke that falls flat, you got no safety net to catch you. And I learned that the hard way. I remember one night I went out and actually crushed it. One night I had the crowd rolling and had some people come up, pat me on the back and tell me it was a good set. And the following week I went back and tried it again, and it just completely... I mean, I didn't even get a golf clap or a chuckle, and that's a pretty brutal thing that happens. But I remember I never actually carried on a conversation with him, and I don't think I ever actually talked to him at all. But I do remember Trey Crowder being there at the open mic nights back before he blew up. And then one day he just ran it on his front porch and got 1 million views. And I remember at the time my ex-wife said, that should be you. She's like, you're a liberal redneck. Why ain't you doing that? And me being me, I was like, well, I'm not going to do that. I don't want to look like I'm copying him. You know, I'm not going to do that. And she's like, well, you rant in the kitchen constantly. You rant in the car. You're always ranting about politics. You've talked to them ever since I've known you. And truth is, I've talked to them ever since I was a kid. And so one day I sat down in a chair and defended Tyler Childers making that album, Long Violent History. And the rest is history. We're sitting here today, again, had 1,500 people in here at one point listening to what I had to say. It's pretty crazy, the twists and turns that your life will take. But I tell that, getting back to the point of what I was saying, I tell all of that to circle back to the point of I understand that not everybody can speak out and not everybody's in a position to speak out, but you can still do your part and you can still subscribe to channels and push for channels and also, you know, stand up for those channels, because now we have a president-elect coming in saying that he's going to target social media influencers and independent media, which is a complete overreach of government. And so you're going to have to stand up for sure. I know for a fact that if I wasn't doing this kind of content, and let's say I was just still down at the bar playing Waylon Jennings covers on a bar stool, I still would stand up for independent journalists, independent media when the time came. There's no way that I would sit back and quietly let them be shut down. So we all need to stick together going forward and realize that we're in uncertain times, but we can get through it. I really believe we can. Sturgill Simpson had a very powerful thing he said at one of his shows, and I focused on it on one of my videos. Sturgill Simpson, for those of you that don't know, is a great country music artist, which really to call him country music ain't really fair, because Sturgill's done everything from R&B sounding music to bluegrass to psychedelic rock. I don't know what the hell you call it, but the dude's a very diverse musician, and I love his stuff. Never met him, never been around him, but he's from Kentucky, and he's a great dude. And he made a statement at one of his shows about how that he felt like this was the age coming to an end, and that sometimes we have to go through dark moments before we can get to the other side. And I really do agree with that. I know it's hard to feel that right now because it feels like the age is just getting started. It feels like that they're louder than ever. But I always believe that someone is the loudest on their way out the door. I believe they're their loudest on their way out. And I can say that from all the bars I played. Anytime someone got bounced out of the bar, they always made the most noise right before they went out the front door. So maybe that's what we're up against now. And hopefully everyone hopefully we'll make it through it. I know it's going to be some rough times going forward, but hopefully we will all make it through it. The main thing is sticking together, and again, standing up for those independent channels and the independent journalists, because that's what the whole backbone of our country was supposed to be. We went into countries to liberate them so that they could speak out against their leaders and so they could have a democracy. There was a time when Republicans used to believe that too, but they jumped the shark a long time ago. And I mean, Trump definitely, I guess, was the shark in some sense of the story. But I do want to continue here to thank everyone who has. Let's see where I left off. I want to continue to thank everyone here who has became new members. Okay, I remember I left off with Sam Stone becoming a new member, and I remember that because it's one of my favorite John Prine tunes. John Prine is the wood burning right here hanging behind me. So many people asks me, is that John Prine or who is that? That's John Prine. Real quick, for those that wonders, that's John Prine. Right there is the Tyler Childers album, Long Violent History, and the reason why I've got it hanging there is because that's the first video I ever did was defending that album and the statement he made along with it. Then down here is the Drive-By Truckers, The Unraveling. I picked that up at a record store in Nashville not too long ago. I'm going to probably kind of switch that record in and out with some different ones because I've got the Drive-By Truckers Dirty South that used to hang there. Then over here, I picked up that really cool Buddha bandana. My friends out in California said that I needed a California bandana, and so I picked one up. There's the plaque for hitting 100,000. We're closing in on 500, so we'll get another plaque after that. That's a dream catcher my good friend made me. That's a postcard of Neil Young. That's a painting of Hunter S. Thompson. Over there is a guitar pick. You can't see it from. This is actually a pick that a friend of mine carved out, and it says Brando's Kitchen Table Crew. That's a pick that a friend got me, and that's a hat that was gave to me by a fan who came to see me. I went to the Kamala Harris rally in Reno, Nevada, and he came to see me and brought me that Tuskegee Airmen 1941 hat because his dad was one of those airmen, and so really meant the world to me. That was so mind-boggling to me because I'm standing in Reno, Nevada. You got to understand, I've not really been in a whole lot of places. I mean, I've mainly traveled around the South most of my life. I just went out to California for the first time this year. I've been there 3 times this year. I love it out there. But, I made it out to Texas and New Mexico, but I've really not got to see a lot of the country. There's still parts of it. I'd love to see the Northeast. I've not made it up that way yet. I also would like to see the Midwest. I'd love to see Colorado and places like that. I'm thinking about going to Red Rocks next year, so we'll see if we can pull that off. But getting back to thanking everybody here. Thanks to Michael for the super sticker. I really appreciate that. Thank you also to Melissa. Orange Julius is a bully. We can overcome. I absolutely agree with that, and thank you for that. Also, thanks to Kathy for the super sticker. Thanks to Noah Bear. We also refuse to be gaslit. Much love from both. Inside joke. Both of your California girls. Love you guys, and thank you for that. I really appreciate it. Also, thanks to Susan for becoming a new member. Thanks to Dolores for the super sticker. And thanks to Red-Headed Riding Hood. Cool name. Congrats, Brando. I may not move to PA, but my grandma's and be a blue dot, but I'm in Colorado now. Cool. Also, thanks to Arlen. Love your show. Keep the faith. I'll sure try, and thank you for helping me keep that faith. Thanks to Griffless for that. The best place to support democracy. Thank you so much for that one. Also, thanks to Carl. Keep up the good work, Brando. We need to keep fighting. We will. We'll all keep fighting. We weren't going to back down. Also, thanks to Serena for becoming a member for 12 months. She'll be in Hawaii on inauguration day. Well, if you got another seat on that plane, we all need to just get out. You got it made. Yeah, don't, in the words of John Prine, blow up your TV, throw away your paper, go to Hawaii and have a good time. Also, thanks to, to Chris the introvert, when you talk about MAGA on your videos, are you referring to all Trump voters or just the extremists? Well, I'm definitely voting, or I'm definitely talking about the extremists, but in my mind, I mean, the voters are voting for extremism. whether they mean to or not. I mean, I realize there probably were a lot of people that voted for him just because they were raised to vote Republican or couldn't vote for a Democrat or whatever the reason may be. But if someone voted for him, and let's say they're not an extremist themselves, they still voted for the extremism. So, but no, when I'm talking about the extremists, I'm talking about the hardcores for the most part. But again, either way you slice it, they voted for extremism. But I do appreciate the comment, and I appreciate the tip there. Also, thanks to Gabby. Love you, Brando, and the Progressive Show. Thank you. Also, thanks to Patty Ann for gifting 5 Tennessee Brando memberships. Thank you for this super sticker. I'm a registered independent and voted blue this cycle because at least the Dems can be negotiated with. MAGA are traitors and non-voters, apathetic enablers. I agree with that 100%. And that's always been my argument. Listen, I could do an entire show and talk for hours about what I think is wrong with the Democratic establishment. There's a lot of things they've got wrong. There's a lot of things they need to work on going forward. But at the end of the day, I feel like they're people you can still reason with and negotiate with, whereas you can't with Donald Trump. And when people says, how could you say that? Well, the guy's out here threatening journalists. He's out here threatening. And there's a lot of people that says to me, Brando, he ain't going to do that. He just likes saying that and scaring people. My argument is this, the fact that people just tries to like normalize it that like, it's not a big deal. No, it is. That's never how we were supposed to talk in America. And I would say the same thing if it was Democrats. But again, I really appreciate that comment, and I agree that at least they can be reasoned with. Also, thanks to Rachel from A Trans Girl. Thank you so much for that. Also, thanks to Terry for becoming a new member. Thanks to Ramona for the super sticker. Thanks to Crazy Guy 81 for becoming a new member. And thanks to Marie. Hope you do more traveling. This is a beautiful country. I'm looking forward to doing more. And also thanks to Griffless. He just gifted 5 Tennessee Brando memberships, and also thanks to Shimmy for becoming a new member. So to all of you who have become new members and all of you who were gifted a membership, when this video ends here in a few minutes, I will be releasing a video that will be members only. That's one of the perks about being a member. You get the videos early before anyone else does. And so I'm going to be doing a video. I've already done it. I've just got to hit members only and it'll be available to you. But the video is about a lot of the threats that I've received and how a lot of people at Midas have been threatened. I know Ben and Jordy both have had threats. I'm not sure about Brett, but we all have at some point. We do try to take them seriously. We do try to, be cautious about it and be mindful of it. But if people think they can scare us into stopping, they got another thing coming. When I say this is my hill I chose to die on, I mean it literally. And I'm with Ben Meiselas when he said I would rather die once as to die 1,000 deaths for Trump. And that's really how I feel about it too. I'm right there with him. When he said one day, I saw Ben doing a video and he said, you'll have to take me and every one of my contributors to the gallows. I was like, I'll be right there with you because I mean it. I'm not bullshitting. I'm not joking. I'm dead serious about it. So we're not going to be bullied. We're not going to be gaslit. We're not going to have people push us around. And again, for those of you that become new members or had a membership gifted to you, that video will hit the members only first, and then it'll probably come out live in a couple hours for everyone else. But that's one of the perks of being a member. Before we go, I just want to wrap things up here and let everyone know what's going on as we go forward. I'll be back here again Thursday for another live at noon show. We've been doing these on Tuesdays and Thursdays. For those of you that tuned in for the first time, I usually do them at noon on Tuesdays and Thursdays, unless I have some sort of scheduling conflict, and then I'll let people know in advance that I won't be here. But I will be here this Thursday coming, 2 days from now. I'll be here then. Also, I'm going to be doing a Patreon live stream this coming Friday at 8 p.m. Eastern, and you do not have to be a patron to be on the show. It will, or to get in the show. It will be free to the public. I'll post the link on my social media accounts. I'll post the link on YouTube. The link's also in the description of this video on Patreon. So join us over there. I'll be sitting here at my desk playing some music. taking requests for cover songs and playing songs I wrote myself, or you can request my songs too for whatever. We always have a fun time doing those shows. Those are loose and relaxed. We have a fun time doing those. Also want to remind everyone that yes, I am on Blue Sky. I've been posting more over there, so tune in there if you haven't already. We're closing in on 100,000 followers over there, and I like that app a lot. It's been really good. We got 92,000 followers at the moment over there. And we're still rapidly gaining here on the channel. A while ago, well, we've gained 50 subscribers just since I refreshed my phone, because a while ago we were at 479, 650, and now we're at 479, 702. So if you haven't already, be sure and hit that subscribe button. And thanks to Summer for moderating, and she's got the link there to the Blue Sky in the comments. Thank you for that. But yeah, I'd say we'll hit, I said that I wanted to hit 500,000 before Inauguration Day, but at the rate we're going, I really believe that we'll be able to hit it before the end of the year. We've been gaining almost 1,000 a day, so it's been really good. So we'll see. We'll see when we make it, and I really appreciate you guys so much for being here with me. I never thought when I started this whole thing off, if I'm being honest with you guys, I just figured I would piss off a few people in my hometown, and I figured that'd be the end of it. You know, I never dreamed that one day I'd go visit California and have someone walk up to me at the Fillmore West and fist bump me and say, thanks for doing what you do, or have someone show up at a Kamala Harris rally to give me a hat. I never dreamed that would happen, but back in March, we put that plaque up, or April, we put that plaque up with 100,000. And here we are about to close in on 500,000. So we'll keep doing this as long as we have platforms to do it from. And again, make sure you stand up for independent journalists, subscribe to their channel. I always encourage people to subscribe to other channels. And I look at it this way. I understand that not everyone is everyone else's taste, you know. There's people out there that may not like the sound of my voice. They may not like the way I go about things. I've had people message me to tell me they don't like my wrestling and boxing analogies. That's fine. If you don't like the way I handle things, or maybe I'm of a different age bracket than you and you don't necessarily see it the way I see it, or maybe I don't make sense to you, go follow Adam Mockler if you're his age. You know, tune into him. If you like David Pacman's approach better, tune into him. If you like Belle, tune into her. If you like the Midas Touch Network, tune into them, you know, like, which I'm part of that network, but still, I'm just saying, I understand that, you know, not everybody is everyone's cup of tea. And there's people out there, of course, I'm never going to say this, but there's people out there who I don't necessarily like their approach, or I don't necessarily like the way they go about it at times, but I respect them, and I respect what it is they stand for. And I would still stand there and fight to the death for their right to say it however they choose to say it. And that's how I look at it. There's a time or two that I can't think of anyone that I absolutely can't stand other than like MAGA influencers. But as far as people on our side, yeah, there's a couple of people who might not be my cup of tea, and I may not watch every video they do. But if suddenly they were the target of Trump, and I would be standing right there with them, calling for them to have the right to speak up and say what they want to say. And so that's why I think it's very important that we follow all the independent media out there and the independent journalists, the people that are taking a stand. And it's going to be a rocky ride, but I really feel like that we can make it. I want to say thanks. I can't pronounce the name, but someone just joined up on Blue Sky and said thanks for the show today. I appreciate you guys for being here. It's always a good time. And thanks to all the new members out there that have came on board. Hope everyone has a good one. When I end this video, I'm going to make that video I was telling you about members only, where I talk more at length about some of the threats we've received. But just know that we're not going to back down. We're not going to stop talking. We're not going to let Donald Trump scare us. We're going to continue to stand up for democracy. We're going to continue to stand up for women's rights, our daughter's future. We're going to continue to stand up for marginalized groups that needs to be lifted up. We're going to continue to say things like my shirt, leave the trans kids alone, you absolute freaks. You want to talk about the freaks reading books. I wrote a song about that. The real freaks reading books are the ones that are bastardizing the Bible, are the ones that are bastardizing the Constitution and trying to groom our children into hateful people. We're going to continue to stand up for what we believe in regardless. We're going into uncertain times. And sometimes I got to be honest with you, I don't recognize our country at times when I see the way that people have become. I had more faith in us. I thought there would be more of us good people that would show up, but instead we had a lot of hateful people show up, and a lot of people that just didn't care one way or the other and enabled it. And so we're going to have to dig in harder and work harder than ever, but we're not going to stop. We're not going to back down. We're going to keep pushing forward. And I hope that everyone out there has a great day. And again, thanks to Summer for moderating. The Vol Queen was out of town today. I told her, take a break, clear your head anytime you can. And I appreciate Summer for moderating while she was doing her work. I know that's not easy. I do try to read the comments when I get a chance and bring people into the conversation. But a lot of times it's a little, I have to keep my mind on what I'm talking about. So don't think I'm ignoring you. I'm sitting here loving having you guys in on the conversation with me. So again, join me this Friday on Patreon at 8 p.m. Eastern. It's a free show. Join me over there, and I'll be back here again with you guys on Thursday at noon. Everybody have a great week, and you keep tuning in. We'll keep standing up for the truth.